Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my studio. Just to remind you, please, if you're new here, welcome, very welcome indeed to my channel. Please click on the button that says subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and turn on notifications so that you get a notification whenever we put up a new video. And you can easily find us and you'll be notified of whenever we do anything. So I'd really appreciate that if you wouldn't mind. And today we are going to be painting a dream catcher. I've been playing with this idea now for a couple of months and haven't quite managed to get round to doing it because we've been obsessed with Christmas cards. But today I am going to do it, and I've been sitting in my studio getting things ready and waiting for my hands to thaw out, which it takes a while sometimes in the morning. By the time I've woken up and got my circulation going, it's sometimes 11 o'clock. Anyway, that's enough of me. I've painted some practice feathers. I've painted a couple of practice dream catchers, and we're going to see what we can do now together. There must be a million ways of doing this. Here's a feather. They are interesting, aren't they? Let's put MEEDEN out of the way for a minute. Usually one side is wider than the other. So this is the narrow side. This one I think came from a buzzard. They have a fluffy sort of thing down here where it's closest to the down that is underneath the feathers on the bird, so it keeps it warm. Our cockerel has just decided that it's now too cold to sleep outside at night, so he's decided to go into the barn, which is a relief because we were forecast snow yesterday. It hasn't happened though. I don't think we're going to have any snow. Anyway, so often the parts of the feather on the side here are broken up, so separate like that. They join up like zips. I think the idea of the zip for clothing came from studying the way the birds' feathers line up and close when they run their beaks through them. So that's quite fascinating how that happens. Anyway, so what I normally do is I sort of indicate that either by leaving gaps in the paint or else coming in with a white pen to give some lines. It's just kind of a little bit rustic looking. The white pen I tend to use is this one, which tends to last longer than the others. A lady in England recommended this, and it's from Artistro and it's available everywhere. So yeah, a 0.7mm water-based ink. They call it a paint pen. So people often ask about that. I'm going to be using my MEEDEN paints today, the MEEDEN watercolor paints. I'm going to be painting on a piece of hot press MEEDEN watercolor paper. Any paper will do, but the hot press is probably better for the detail of something like this. Maybe, don't think it really matters. Cold press will work just fine. This is 10 by 7 inches, or for those of us who are in the old world, 260 by 180 millimeters. And this is, as you know, always what we use is 300 gram per square meter paper, otherwise known as 140 pounds. They don't have that written on here. I don't know why people say GSM. That means nothing to me. It's grams. 300 gram paper is what I like to say. But anyway, I'm old-fashioned, as you very well know. So there are many places in which we could start here. I'm trying to decide. I want a circle here about the size of the top of this coffee cup. And one way of doing that would be to imprint it like that. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do because, hey, why not? So what I'm going to do is on my, oh dear, hang on a minute. I need you to be able to see this. So I'll move that here. This is my MEEDEN Studio palette, which is a, as I've said before, Isabey Quill ripoff. I'm using a, oddly enough, quill brush to mix up some paint, which I'm going to put on here. There's two ways of doing this printing thing. You can either paint directly onto the object. If you're going to do the printing thing, do it with something that's got quite thick rim, like this is a handmade coffee cup from Canterbury. And then you can either do what I just did and draw around it, or you can dip it into the paint. I'm not looking for a perfect circle. I'm looking for something imperfect, as Shader would say, perfectly imperfect, like that. And we have a circle, and it's a perfect circle. And then we could put another one in the middle if we wanted to, or we can change. What I might do, making it up as I go along, as usual, I'm going to make that colour a little bit darker for my stamping process, and then I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to come in on top. Doesn't matter if it doesn't match up exactly, which it's bound not to. And we have 2 lines, and then I might go for a bit more darker still. So I've added some purple to that brown, which makes a darker brown. So we'll do that. And now we've got 3 colours there for the circle of the Dreamcatcher. And we could now, if we wanted to, do a couple of other things. There's various things we could do. I get excited because I can't decide what to do exactly, but what I'm going to do, I think, is take my brush and just go round and sort of let those colours blend. Let them stay a little bit, you know, separated. Another thing you could do is you could take, for example, a sepia fine liner, and you could go around that and give it some more interesting textures and things. But I wouldn't do that until that was dry, because of course at the moment it's not. But what I will do with sepia pen is the lines in the middle. You could put another smaller circle in the middle if you wanted to. They often have a small circle in the middle, and I think I'll do that by hand. And I'll go around a couple of times like that. And I don't want that to be too accurate. I made one of these once, a real one in real life, for Tamsin years ago. We had it hanging up above her bed for ages. Apparently that's what they're for in the Native American culture, apparently, to put above children's beds. So I'm going to just, I don't like the, I don't relate very well to the geometric idea of doing it with one of those compasses. It's not my style. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm a spider and go around like this, because this isn't the most important part, this is just the background. All right, so we might go, we could go, what could we do in the middle? We could do just like a kind of flower, a rough flower, like that. Okay, so that's our ring. Now, just checking that the thing's still working. Now we're going to paint some feathers, I think. I want to put some flowers on there as well. So actually, maybe I'll do that first. I don't know. Maybe. We could put a sort of bouquet of flowers here. So I'm just going to lift out some of that paint, so I can paint over the top of that bit. I'll need a tissue. There we go. And then I'm going to paint some flowers. Now, oh yes, I just acquired some detail brushes from MEEDEN. They look like this. I've never used a detail brush before. They have a completely different structure of the handle, as you can see. So this is going to be interesting to use. I think I might use those for doing the feather and the ribbons coming down. But for the flower, I'm going to use a small, just an ordinary small round. This is a Draw Well one. And let's pick up some pink. It really doesn't matter what colour, whatever you fancy, but pink is always a good colour to use, I think. And let's just do some petals like that, and we can add a little bit of purple to that to make another one. They don't have to be anything special, but they don't want to all be the same size. So we'll do that one a bit bigger. And then maybe we'll go back to pink again for down here. And then I'll let that dry, and then I'll put in some details. So that's fine so far. And then I'm going to use the detail brush here. I've got two of them actually. One of them's bigger than the other. This is a bigger one, and then there's this one which is tiny. And I don't normally use small brushes, but I've been watching Harriet de Winton lately, and her brushes, they consist like of 2 hairs on a stick, and it's amazing what she does with them, and it kind of makes you wonder, might be missing out on something. Wouldn't want that. Anyway, this is a size 0 detail brush. I'm going to put some beads on there using this. So I'll pick up a little bit of pink and we'll see how that goes. I don't know whether I'll get, I suppose that's, yeah. I was going to say I don't know whether I'll get the effect that I want because I'm not skilled. Do I want any particular effect? I don't know. I'm working it out as I go along. Just put some pink beads in various places on here, and then maybe another colour. Perhaps what colour could we put? I don't know, green or something. When this is dry, I can come in with this again, and yeah, I don't know, well, that's all right. Okay, so for the feathers, first of all, this nice mix of brown I've got here is going to be fine for the center part of the feather. So we'll just draw a line like that. Then I'll take my quill brush, which is this one. This is a Isabey Petit Gris 0, so it's a squirrel hair brush. So I'm sorry about that, but I've had it for a long time. And then I'm going to just literally paint a feather like that. We'll let that dry and then we'll decorate it. Okay, and the detail brush now I can use to take up here and tie it to the ring, and we can just do some fluffy bits out here, and I can use my pen, a dip pen or anything sharp that you can scratch with, to scratch not down the middle but near to the middle like that, and with any luck you'll get a darker line, but if it doesn't work it doesn't matter because we're going to put some white pen on top of there. So then we'll have another string here and another feather center, and let's do this one in turquoise, and this one I'm going to paint with the detail brush, so it's a different way of doing it. And then we can, if we want to make it darker, we can drop in some more darker blue in a couple of places, which will then run and give you a bit more interest. We take our pen and draw a line. And then maybe let me think. That's an amazingly thin line that I've got there. It's almost too thin, isn't it? We can use these to paint ribbons as well, these fine ones. So we can just go in and push down and pull up, push down. Tie it onto the ring. This one I think is going to be a little bit too dark, so I'm going to give it some more texture by lifting a bit of it out. But I will be making it lighter when we add the pen. Okay, and so let's do this one with the quill brush again. Make this one pink. And this one purple perhaps? No, maybe blue. Okay. So you're just sort of building this up as you go along. And you could put a small one here. And we can put another one here. And what we're aiming for is to get interesting effects, really. So what I've got is the string hanging from the ring, and then the feather coming out to the side because it's, you know, it's got a stiff shape to it, hasn't it? So we'll have another one here. And maybe this one can have some turquoise in it. And then we could do a few more ribbons. That went a bit thick. If you do make a mistake like that, you might be able to lift it out. Or make it less obvious. We'll turn that into a feather. That's the thing to do there. There we go. And then I'm going to put another one with using this colour here. And another one here. And then using our fine pen again, we can put more beads on. So just using some quite reasonably strong colour. What was I doing? Oh yeah, beads. Do different shapes. And I know that it's traditional to have sort of things like shells on here as well. It's hard to do, actually. So I don't know if that's going to look like a shell or just like a blob. I don't know, maybe I'll take that out, make that into a flower. I think we won't bother with the shells because I think that's too difficult, but we could turn that into a flower. And we could have another flower here. And maybe another pink one here. It's always good to have things in threes. And we could pick up some yellow for the middles of the ones that aren't yet dry. Could use yellow for some beads as well, some sort of orangey colours. That would be a nice accent point, wouldn't it? Like that. And we could, I tell you what we could do. I think we could paint that in the middle in that nice colour. In a minute I'm going to dry the whole thing off, and then we can come in with the pen and do some pen work. So I'm just adding some more sort of golden coloured ribbons in the background here. I think you would enjoy this process because it's just fun and you can just create it as you go along. I had no pre-designed plan for this because there's no point, as far as I'm concerned anyway, absolutely no point in trying to plan anything ahead because it never works out the way I think that it will. So you have to be brave and just go for it, really. It's a bit like going to the dentist. It's one of those things you have to do, and you know it's not going to necessarily be very easy, but in the long run, and it's the same, really, same kind of thing, that once you've taken the plunge, it's okay. So I'm going to sort of just put some more detail on here. So it looks a bit like, yeah, the one I made for my daughter, I made it from twigs and I just made it into a circle and bound them together. And then I attached all the usual things to it. It's a nice thing to make. I should make another one, but I haven't got time. I'm too busy doing these videos. Don't know when I'm going to do my Christmas shopping. So I'm just emphasising these lines that I did with the pen to make them look a bit softer. Doesn't matter if you run into the doodah. And now I'm going to dry that because I want to do the doodles on there. Okie dokie, so that's dry now. And the next thing is to get my white pen and make sure that that's working. So I'll just test that on here. Yeah, not too bad. You could use gold as well, actually. I might even do that. And then you can, if you want, put in a center line if you haven't got one. And then I think it's quite nice just to have lines and circles and whatever doodles you feel you want to do. So this one's quite big, so we could take our gold pen because it is Christmas. No, that's not gold, that's silver. Well, actually silver might work too. And I'm not feeling the silver. I never use a silver. So let's see whether a few touches of gold would work, maybe on here. It's when it all adds up, you know, on one it doesn't really look like anything, but then when you've done it on several, it's the same for the dots and the dashes and things as well. you see what I mean. You know, it doesn't look anything on one of them, but when you do it on several, it adds up. It's more than the sum of its parts. That kind of thing. This one could be similar. Now this one's quite important because it is in the middle. Put some gold on here. Okay. This is definitely the best of the white pens. The other ones that I have, which I've recommended before, which are the ones I started with, the trouble with them is they tend to stop working. They start off really enthusiastic and they're very good, but then after a very short period of time, if you don't use them kind of every day, they stop. And they go away and leave you disappointed. But this one seems to be able to be reactivated. So that's good. Oh, I tell you what, I don't know what to get my husband for Christmas, and I don't know what to get Tamsin either. So if anyone's got any really good ideas, other than the usual, you know, socks and everything, which I've got, any suggestions would be gratefully received. She doesn't normally read all the comments, so you could put it in the comments below. Well, I'm quite pleased with this, the way it's looking so far. It's not too bad. I'm going to go into the flowers up here and embroider them with some white ink. Having praised these things, and all of a sudden they're not working very well, but if you kind of pump it a bit, you get more ink out. Whoa! It never rains, but it pours, as we say. Good. And it's optional to do more. You could do more. We could continue on with more beads down here, for example. Probably not a bad idea. These brushes are quite nice. If you feel that way inclined, you might... I think I need some practice with them because I'm not, as I said, I'm not familiar with using very tiny brushes. It's not something I've done very much. Well, I have never done, let alone not very much. But what I'm feeling like now is that this probably needs a little bit of a spatter. So I'm looking for a longer brush, one that I can spatter with. I can't find a long brush. I will in a minute find a long brush, I'm sure. It doesn't really need to be all that long. It can be just an ordinary brush. And we could do a few bits of blue, turquoise blue, maybe. This is one where it just wants a touch, not too much. And there we are. One Dreamcatcher for your delectation. Please remember, as I said before, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you like what you've seen today, give us a like, give us a subscribe, just so that, you know, the famous YouTube algorithm doesn't feel neglected. And I'm very grateful for all your support, everybody who makes comments and everything. They all get read, they don't all get answered, but if you're one of the first to put a comment after the video goes up at 6 o'clock, then you probably will get a reply. So if you really want to reply, or else email us or go to the website and leave us a comment there on one of the blogs or something like that, or become a member. If you become a member of the channel, you have a sort of hotline to me, or a member of Patreon. That's also great. And yeah, so I'm wishing you a very happy weekend, and I'll let you go. And I hope you enjoyed that, and I did in the end, although it did feel like teeth were being pulled at one point. Bye for now, everybody. Bye bye.